There was a by-election in the UK on Thursday, the 26th of February. Labour got routed. They lost one of their safest seats. Reform did okay. They came in second. The Tories lost their deposit for the first time in donkey's years. And the Liberal Democrats were nowhere to be seen. Like, comment, and subscribe. Sign up for my free newsletter and links to the guests in the description below. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Great. Love chatting it up with you.
Yes. We're recording this on Friday, the 27th of February. And you said you wanted to talk about the by-election in Gorton and Denton, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Southeast of Manchester. That's all I know.
That's right. And I can't do a Mancunian accent. I don't know how familiar Americans are with different British accents. All they know.
Yeah.
Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea?
Is that right? Manchester?
Can you do a Manchester accent?
Is that Manchester?
No, that's received pronunciation. That's Southeast England. I can do Bradford, which is near Manchester, because I went to university in Bradford. All right, I know you. What for? What you want to do that for?
Good. This is good. I wish we still maintained some of our accents. Some people do, but we've lost a lot here.
TV.
It is,
unifies it all. Okay, so what's your take on the by-election?
I think you see the ongoing destruction of the post-World War II parties, and maybe even more deeper than that. The Tories lost, Labour is gone. You now have Reform versus Green. Green is it's the truest expression of the radical left today. They've completely abandoned any concern for the well-being of the population. Starmer did this. He cut fuel subsidies. They cut the population. They came in as Labour with an austerity policy. The basis of that, green energy policies, green social agenda, green immigration policy. We want cheap labor. We want green energy. We're going to basically choke off the current population in poverty. So at least it makes it clear you have the Greens that's what Biden and Harris were. I mean, Biden and Harris's entire economic agenda in the United States was the radical Green New Deal.
Right, so, which is Agenda 2030.
Right.
The United Nations Agenda 2030.
Hardcore globalism. That's all it is. And they preach a kind of, I ride my bike and I wear recycled clothing, or I bought my shoes at a pawn shop or something, and like that means I'm for the people. And you're like, I really don't think that has anything to do with it. But I think you see the death of the parties. I think this is probably a clear death blow to Starmer. I mean, Mandelson's now been arrested. Prince Andrew was arrested. But it's really a question of the loss of faith in the population. And so Green won out. I don't know what the numbers were compared to bigger election numbers. These are by-elections and so on. But I think it shows that these parties have lost any credibility with the population. They're just voting against Labour, the same way they voted against the Tories when Labour came in. The anger is high across the board. And you've got to come up with a different trajectory and a different solution to the whole perspective. And I don't know if Reform can do that or if other political factions in the UK can do that. But the Greens are so radically off. But at least they're public about it. They literally want to shut down your energy supply. They want to lower your wages. They want you dying in the winter. They want your electricity.
Mike, stop it.
They do.
No, they don't. No, don't listen. They want to save us because carbon dioxide is going to destroy the planet.
Well, it's true. That's practically worse than the indulgences of the Catholic Church in the 1200s. I mean, fire, hell, and damnation is going to take over the earth if we don't plug the cows' butts from farting. I mean, it's like, come on. The great sin is letting your cows fart too much. You eating that burger meant there was more methane farts in the air, and you're going to bring, hell on earth because of your unwillingness to abide. So, yeah, I think it just shows, and it's really going to split the question, but it forces an economic question. That's why, in the context of this kind of just it's a small little seat, right? It's a small seat. I mean, it's a seat. It's a parliamentary seat, but it's not. I think you get a sense that these regimes are gone. Look, both parties, Republican and socialist parties, are gone in France. Now the Tories and Labour are gone in the UK.
Yes, they are, right? But the WEF isn't. Davos isn't.
No.
They're coming out in the form of the Greens. And just to add a few things to what you said, add some color. So the Greens won with 14.9 thousand. That was the number of votes they got.
Right.
Reform got just over 9,000. And then Labour came in a little bit behind them. The Tories got 700 or something, right? Which is just ridiculously low. And there was about 40%, 47% turnout, which is low for a by-election, but it's pretty standard for a general election. So there was a lot of apathy. And then one of the things that the Greens did is where I think it's going to fracture, and I think it was misleading, is on the one hand, you've got these woke lefties, woke pro-trans lefties, and some of their policies that they stood for, or they're standing for, is legalizing drugs, legalizing prostitution, and pro-trans. So that's one constituency. The other constituency are local
Not long
Muslims.
for this world.
Yeah. Well, the other constituency are local Muslims, a large Pakistani community. And they campaigned a lot. Zach Polanski, who strikes me he reminds me of Mamdani, came out of nowhere, very articulate, not as handsome as Mamdani, speaks really, really well, and is going to destroy the city. Came out of nowhere. And a flood of support for him all over the media, Zach Polanski. And very pro.
Is he running for mayor, or is he planning to?
No. There isn't a mayor. Is there a mayor in Manchester? No, he's an MP. Can't be mayor and MP. He's running. He's MP. No, Zach Polanski is leader. He's the leader of
Greens,
of the Green Party. He's actually a member of the local London Assembly, so the London mayoral parliament.
Got it.
But that's the Green agenda, and it also pro-Palestinian. Yeah, that's good.
Right.
So they captured the Muslim vote there with that one, because Labour has been supporting the IDF, prescribed Palestine Action as a terrorist organization. And I don't know if you've seen the videos of, 80-year-olds in wheelchairs holding up signs, "I support Palestine Action," and then being arrested under the Terrorism Act. We don't have a First Amendment here.
No, you don't.
Or a Second Amendment. I wish
you have only freedom of speech protected inside Parliament, but that's it.
Yeah. So the constituency, these pro-trans woke lefties and Muslims, so rather conservative, anti-trans, anti-prostitution, drugs are forbidden in Islam. And then one of the things that they did is that the Green Party produced campaign videos and leaflets in Urdu, the language spoken by the Pakistani community, their mother tongue. But they didn't mention that they wanted to legalize prostitution, that they wanted to legalize drugs, and that they're pro-trans. So it's pure cynicism, and it can't. It's not going to cohere. It's not going to work. My son had a part-time job in a local restaurant where he was being compelled or asked to to refer to this trans person by their adopted pronoun in that person's absence. And he said, "I'm leaving. I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Because God made man and woman, and I can't undo God's creation." It's, for conservative people of faith everywhere, it's just, it just doesn't fly.
It's an untenable coalition that's only meant to be fascist. It really is. And they're not concerned about, they don't want to appeal to Islamic values. What they're simply appealing to is this sense that there's this anti-immigrant kind of phenomena taking place. And they're basically, the globalists behind all of this want to make it seem like, and it's very obvious that it's true, that we need more immigrants in so we can control the domestic politics.
Yeah, Cloward Piven strategy. And the other thing about it is that the Green Party, they oppose the slaughter in Palestine. Good. But they support Ukraine in the Ukraine-Russia war. So it's okay to kill these human beings, but these human beings, when their slaughter, we're opposed to. And one of the conversations I've had with my cousins who support the Green Party because of their stand is like, what kind of a Muslim am I? If I say it's okay you can't go killing Palestinians, but it's okay to kill Slavs. No.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why it's the they're having to rely upon this, like getting rid of labor losing pulls the veneer down. Because labor held this seat for 40, 50, 60 years.
But I think 100 years, but
100 years. Okay, yeah. So 100 years. So it's been a labor seat since labor basically came up. I mean, I think that, you see a collapse. The veneer is lost. The Democrats are going to face the same problem. And the question, though, is the problem is that, like, the changes Trump is making, which is kind of a weather vane for anybody especially in the West, to figure out how to build a coalition. Le Pen is doing this in France around working class, industrial interests, anti-austerity. You're not going to cut the budgets. You're not cutting pensions. You're not cutting Medicare. You're not cutting this, healthcare services. That's what they wanted to do with Brexit. That was Dominic Cummings' whole agenda, right? He wanted that, that was on buses, I think,
mm-hmm.
put millions of pounds towards the NHS and stop giving instead of giving it to the EU. But there's not a political commitment and will to make that coalition real. But the real question, as you've always mentioned, is the revival of an American system of economics. You've got to begin to rebuild the industry. You've got to build the energy plants. You've got to go to advanced nuclear. You've got to build up the supply chains to build these and produce these and more advanced and long-term investments. And
that conversation is so missing in the British political system. It just I had a conversation with, who was it with? It was I can't remember now. It was David Curtin. David Curtin is a leader of the Heritage Party, and he was awake to the Great Reset right from the very start. Heritage Party is a very small, traditional conservative party. Not a WEF party. He was opposed to the WEF from the very start. I met him on anti-lockdown demos in London. He was on every single one. Right? I would go and he would be there. I got chatting to him. He was opposed to trans, sees through the flaws and the lies of the net zero, that's actually a globalist spawned from the globalists. And he didn't know about the American system of political economy, because it's been erased from our economic books. It's been erased from the history books.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was ever in yours, but it was in ours for just
it was
a few
in yours.
years.
Okay, no, I've never come across it. Absolutely not. All what we've got is free market capitalism. The Tories, their version of free market, cutting government, leaving people in distress, the poor, not taking care of them, or socialism where we just keep taxing the rich, bigger and bigger government, which actually, what I've seen, just becomes more and more oppressive as it seeks to extract more and more of the energy from the workforce. And one of the things that the Green Party are going to do, and then I want to take it to the Democrats in the US, is what the agenda of the Green Party, if fulfilled, will be the same as the Labour Party in as much as they will destroy the middle class. And you got to, if you, Mike, are interested in tyrannical rule, and you may or may not be, or at some point in the future, right? You might decide to rule.
No,
Right?
I wouldn't mind being a tyrant. I'd be a good one.
Yeah, you have to destroy the middle class. And why you have to destroy the middle class, I'm sure you understand, and feel free to add to it, is because they have resilience and they have wealth, and they will stand up and fight. But if you destroy them and then you just have a society of rulers and serfs, then you have feudalism. Feudalism doesn't allow for a middle class. There's a dependent
it's funny. That's
class.
what, have you read this book by, what was it name? Richard Poe?
How the British destroyed communism, how the British created communism and blamed it on the Jews. Not only have I read the book, he's been a guest on my channel at least twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I mean, the point is that Marx was, the people backing Marx at the library, the British Library, British Museum, were basically
British
feudalists.
intelligence.
They were reviving. They wanted to revive what they called Young England, and they wanted to revive a kind of old feudal order. And it was all these come-ups, these mercantile businessmen who were trying to make money and building a middle class,
Yeah,
and that was seemed so kind of distasteful to Marx and his communist radical leftists.
yeah, yeah. And I think they had ties to the British intelligence service as well, if I remember correctly from that
Oh,
book.
certainly, yeah. The whole thing. The Toynbee House was a whole. Toynbee House was a kind of social worker house and center that was set up by leading imperialists like oh, what's his name?
Toy,
Oh, I just blanked.
his name was
But
Toynbee.
it was a Milner, Lord Milner's
Right.
group, Lord Milner and this group, and the faction before him, the Cecil group, and these kinds of things coming out of Oxford and so on, were they were setting up Toynbee House. Toynbee House had people like Vladimir Lenin there visiting in discussions. They were sponsoring the Soviets there, but they were directly involved. The British liberal imperialists were looking to kind of undermine other nations with these
Oh,
kinds of policies.
oh
And that's the
yes.
same thing what they've got with the radical left today.
Yep. And the World Economic Forum and the European Union,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure
all
if you
British projects.
Yeah, if you go to, I mean, I haven't been to Davos, but I've heard it's, much like a lot of these things, like the Super Bowl in America, it's prostitutes from all over the world are there. And I'm sure a bunch of radical left ideologues are in there in the cafes talking with all the billionaires and garks.
Yep. 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 And apparently this year or the last few years, there's been more and more trans prostitutes. And I'm not saying that from personal experience. I've just read that somewhere, allegedly. But I wanted to go back. You mentioned something about the Democrats, like, and I noticed at the State of the Union address, which I haven't listened to, there was one
Mm.
bit where Trump says, if you stand with me, stand up if you're for American citizens.
If the federal government's number one priority is to defend the interests of American citizens and not that of illegal aliens, please stand up.
And the Democrats didn't.
They sat there. They sat there.
Now,
I
how
mean,
how did that play out with the American people?
Oh, I think it played out where 65% of the polling say that Trump was totally right on. I think that they know the problem is that they've just run so many distractions over the last year. And I think the enemy gets overly confident that they think that constant annoyance and if you're constantly, gnawing at someone, poking their head or poking them constantly, you think you've got them convinced they're on your side. But as soon as someone stops the poking and tells the person, don't you remember how insane it was, when they were poking you? And you're like, yes, that was crazy. So, I think the American people, I think Trump made a massive, massive intervention at the State of the Union, and it will resonate for a while. The question is, Republicans have to keep backing it up. We've got to make this Epstein cult phenomena, this obsession with lies, sex, and politics and power. This attempted assassination by Trump, the young man was 21, and he was obsessed with the Epstein files. And it's almost kind of like the Manson crowd. It's these young people who are just so whipped up and obsessed with the dark world. And that's what Epstein is. It's a very dark and evil world. But a number of people have come out. People like Michael Schellenberger, independent journalist, worked with Matt Taibbi on the Twitter files.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually covering it as Epstein was highly connected to CIA, to Mossad, that there were these references from Trump's health, these kinds of allegations. And when Schellenberger went through all the Epstein documents that have been made available, it just looks like Epstein was maybe a contract for hire by various intelligence agencies, but he basically was just there as a kind of bagman or kind of like a service counter, kind of like a maitre d' or a concierge for the rich and wealthy and famous and powerful. You want women? You want me to hide some money for you? You want me to blackmail some people? You want me to extort some things? You want to run? Can you give me some information? Can you get this person off the hook? I mean, he was just running those kinds of operations for people, which is not working for the Mossad or CIA, but it is working for the globalists and working for elements of those intelligence agencies that are involved in dark ops that are fundamentally against the interests of even their own country. But I think the Democrats are out on a ledge, and they're just wanting to kind of annoy and pester people and make them more cynical. And Trump came in at the State of the Union and blew that whole thing wide open and says, I'm not going to flinch. We're going hardcore on optimism, on building a future, doing it together, and getting this country back to basic principles.
Well, that's one thing about the Democrats that they don't have. They don't have a vision. I don't know what their vision is. What is it that they're promising? More trans, less energy?
Well, that's the same thing with the Tories or Labor or the Socialists, Republicans or SPD or CDU, all these parties. I mean, Republicans had no vision until Trump. There was no vision. There was no sense of how to rebuild the country. When Trump's launching, we have just had a revision of our space program because there's a problem in the supply chain, I think, to some degree, but they're going to escalate, they're going to expedite programs, but we are going to be back on the moon, men and women on the moon by 2028, and we are going to set up a permanent base. We will be there in perpetuity, probably for the rest of human existence. We are setting up a permanent lunar base. Elon Musk is shifting his efforts away from colonizing Mars to colonizing the moon. We will have the ability to send rocket after rocket after rocket within a 2-day travel. I mean, we are building up an entirely new logistics for a different kind of human existence. And this is what people don't get about this, is that for the first time, you're going to have 4D communication, live video communication from people living and working and exploring and doing research on the moon, engaging with people about the views of the universe, the kinds of research we're doing. You're going to re-spark a sense of imagination that we as human beings have incredible power, because that's what the Greens want to undercut. The core question of the American system was not some set of policies that a government should adopt. The core question was mankind has the ability to solve any problem it confronts, to build out of it.
It's very, very positive. It's really, really positive. And if I think about, when I face challenges in life, like how am I going to get through my university degree, right, with a decent grade, right? And what's really worked is not that I've had the answers, but asking the questions like, how am I going to accomplish this?
Right.
So that's really inspiring, and it provokes creativity compared to, okay, no energy for you. You're going to have to wear less clothes, wash less often, eat insects, but you will be happy, I promise.
And if you're not, we're just going to replace you.
We're just going to replace you. That's right. That's right. Mike, absolutely fabulous talking to you. Really, really appreciate this. Look forward to having you on again. Please do check out his work. Let us know what you think about what happened in I don't know. Let us know something. I just lost my train
the special election in the UK. Is the Labour Party done, and is Keir Starmer going to be trashed into the waste bin in the next couple of weeks?
And then we'll have some other idiot. See how good Mike is. You should check out his channel. This is Rich and Mike signing out. All the best. Bye bye.